encouraging it and have been for quite some time. Here's Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley
They attack their own kind.
for violence in the streets early this month. Watch.
Make the phone call, send the email, show up. You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
There needs to be unrest in the streets. We've been watching what unrest in the streets looks like. Ayanna Pressley says we need more. And so there is more. Pressley, like Nancy Pelosi and Barack and Michelle Obama and so many other leaders in that party, is a racial arsonist. She wants Americans to despise and fear each other. She is pleased when things burn. Pressley has no skills. She's never created anything in her life. She has built nothing. Tearing things down is the only way Ayanna Pressley and people like Ayanna Pressley become powerful. And so they push hate and chaos. Republicans, for all their many and very obvious faults that he would be pointed on the show, don't do this. They don't do anything like this. When was the last time a mob of Trump voters torched a Wendy's or looted a Target? And if you did, if you watched them do that, how would you feel about it? You'd be repulsed. Do you think Republican leaders would defend Trump voters if they did that? Do you think they'd encourage them to do it again? Please. That's a rhetorical question, and the answer is obvious. Only Biden voters do this. Only the left does this, and they've done it for a long time. A year ago this month, for example, they gathered outside Mitch McConnell's home, where his family lives. Do you even remember what this was about? Watch.
We're at McConnell's house. This think he's about to get some rest. Not if the children that you're kidnapping can't get any rest. Not if families are getting murdered can't get any rest.
Obama did that, stupid.
He's in there nursing his little broken arm. He should have broke his little raggedy, wrinkled ass neck. Just stab the motherfucker in the heart.
To stab the MFer in the heart. They mocked the 77-year-old McConnell, who was recovering from surgery. They said that out loud. It was on tape. We probably played it at the time. We didn't take it seriously enough. The rest of us should have stopped what we were doing that day and demanded from law enforcement, demanded from Democratic leaders, an end to the threats, to the lunatic behavior, to the implied violence. None of that has any place in a civilized country, much less this country. But we didn't do that. We let it pass. We ignored it over time. And so the threats continued, and then the threats became violence, as they inevitably do. The question now is, can we stop it? Rand Paul is a senator from Kentucky. He joins us tonight. Senator, thanks so much for coming on, and his wife, Kelly Paul, also. Thanks a lot. Actually, I'll start with you, Mrs. Paul. You wrote, I thought, a very affecting piece in the Washington Examiner today about what you experienced last night. Can you tell us what it was like to be in the middle of the threats and the screaming?
It was absolutely terrifying. I have never experienced anything like that in my life. I hope no one else ever has to. We felt completely powerless. Before some of the video that I think you have shown where the police with the bikes were kind of creating a moving barricade for us, in the minutes before the police with the bikes showed up, we were completely encircled and surrounded, pressed up against two cops we were surrounded by people who were screaming in our faces, yelling that they were going to F us up, screaming, say her name. And at one point, at first I was trying to look in their eyes and trying to have any kind of reason or see someone as a human being, and I realized they did not see us as human beings. We were Trump supporters, so they absolutely despised us. Even though if we were ever in a situation and maybe could have talked to some of those folks and they knew about Rand's background in criminal justice reform and the things that I've spoken out on, we could have had agreement. But in that moment, it was just like this bloodthirsty mob, and all I could think of was the man who was kicked in the head in Portland, a week ago, or the man whose jaw was broken, or 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. I really felt that we were going to lose our lives. I thought someone was going to throw a brick. I mean, it was the most terrifying moment in my entire life.
So given that, let me just ask quickly to you a follow-up, Mrs. Paul, given that the experience that you had, you just described it so vividly, what do you make of the news coverage of it? I've seen a couple of different accounts today that suggest it was not a big deal at all, that you're complaining for political reasons. NPR tonight described it as a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
furious. I am furious. I'm furious that Biden and Kamala Harris are not denouncing this. You tell me, if you are surrounded by a mob that will not let you move, that is screaming in your face, that is holding you completely hostage, and you cannot walk to your hotel and you are on a dark street, you tell me that's not violence. You tell me that is not an attack.
That's right.
There were times, Tucker, when they took this, it happened incredibly quickly. You know, it's nearly 1 in the morning. We have 2 blocks. We think we can make it 2 blocks. It looks clear. We make it 1 block, and right about the time we see these policemen, we go up. Just as we approach the policeman, the mob turns the corner, and they say, "We've got him. We've got Rand Paul. We've got him trapped." 30 people descend on us, but then 30 became 60, became 90, became 120, and it swelled. And we were in a pocket of Kelly and I and the 2 officers all touching each other in a very small pocket. They're completely surrounding us. They are pushing us. They are threatening to kill us, and they're yelling and screaming. And I thought we were going to be overrun, and so I looked to the policeman and I yelled in his ear. I said, "They know who I am. I'm in Congress." I don't think the policeman did know I was in Congress. And I said, "They know you need to call for reinforcement." And he's calling for reinforcement. But even though there were thousands of policemen, it seemed like forever to come. And we were there, but it was the pitch and the tenor of this is the invective. Everything was getting louder and louder and louder. And I thought they were going to be overrun. I mean, these police were brave, but there were 2 of them at first versus 120 people. If someone falls to the ground, that's when the mob becomes kicking and stomping people, and you're done for. But they came up. They were incredibly brave. The president has said this, and I'll say it again. They deserve our thanks, our praise. They deserve a medal, and I'll be there in the White House when the president gives them a medal for what they did, because I truly believe we would have been killed. The left says, "Oh, well, you weren't killed, so you weren't threatened." No, the police saved our lives because these thugs would have killed us. They would have stomped us and killed us. And these people don't live in D.C. either. There's evidence that's coming out that these people were paid and that they came to town at someone else's behest.
So why are we putting up with this? Why are we, I mean, this is the most heavily fortified city in the United States. It's the seat of our federal government. They don't own these streets. Most of them aren't even from there. Why have we tolerated this crap for 3 months? I'm serious. We don't need to put up with this. Why are we?
Well, look at where the problems are. Portland, Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and New York. What do they all have in common? Democrat mayors. Not just this time around, Democrat mayors for 50 years. And the thing is, the president put it very well in his speech last night. He said, if you want the country to be Portland, if you want the country to be on fire, put somebody in the White House who doesn't care about whether we have police or not. The police are brave and they're protecting us. Are there full reforms? You know me, Tucker. I'm for a lot of reforms for the police. I am for reforming them, but I never let myself forget that 99% of them or more are good people. They live amongst us. They go to our church. We see them in the grocery store. And if we want to make it out that they're all bad people, it's the same misnomer or the misrepresentation as the saying, oh, all white people are racist. We actually have less racism and prejudice than we've ever had in my lifetime. We have been going in the right direction for so long. You look at corporate America, you look at universities, you look at intermarriage, you look at church integration. We have been going in the right direction. But now they're telling you that the world hates you and you might as well just break windows and take stuff instead of going to college and succeeding. It just boggles my mind where we're going, that the violence has to stop.
Like right now, we could have those debates later once we make it safe to walk on streets that we pay for. Brandon, Kelly, Paul, thank you both very much. That was compelling. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.
Well, last night, Joe Biden voters in Washington physically assaulted and harassed Brendan Straka and another man. Straka is a former Democrat who founded the Walkaway campaign to encourage others to leave the party as well. Here's what happened last night in D.C.
You get one.
So that is what the left would call, the New York Times would call a hate crime, but only if it happened to someone they agreed with politically. They don't agree with the people in that video, so of course they ignored it completely. Keep in mind, this is the same media establishment that jumped with all four paws on the Jussie Smollett hoax just last year. Remember that?
There are many indications of a hate crime here. They are looking for two suspects who are apparently wearing Make America Great Again hats, though that has not yet been officially confirmed.
The media has really cast so much doubt on his story, which I find so personally offensive, that a gay black man is targeted and then suddenly he becomes the victim of people's disbelief.
He said his attackers hurled racial and homophobic slurs at him. And this is America in 2019.
These people are such loathsome frauds, such liars. They're saying nothing about this, of course. Brandon Straka is here tonight, joins us live. Thanks so much for coming on. Tell us what happened, where you were, and what these people said to you.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Tucker. So I was a guest last night at the White House for the close of the RNC convention to watch President Trump's speech. It was a magical evening. Everything was absolutely incredible, like something out of a storybook. I was there with a bunch of people from my organization, the Walkaway Campaign, and as I was leaving with two people, Mike Harlow, who's a fellow gay man and conservative activist, and the ED of Walkaway, Libby Albert, we were exiting the convention along with a large group of people, and there was a small group of BLM hecklers there to harass people as they were walking out. The majority of the people exited and went to the right. The two friends of mine and I exited and we went to the left, which ended up being a big mistake. We were trying to get back to our hotel, and as we were walking back to our hotel, four of the people who were with the BLM mob that was harassing the majority of the people as they were leaving was walking down the street, crossing us as we were walking back to the hotel, and that's when they started hurling homophobic slurs at us, anti-gay slurs, and then they walked up to Mikey Harlow, spit in his face, they threw a drink at me, threw a cup in my face, and then they actually hit Libby Albert, the girl who was with me. They called us the anti-gay F word about 3 or 4 times, as you can see in that video. And I have to tell you, Tucker, I've endured anti-gay attacks like this actually dozens of times in my life. It's been probably 10 years at least since something like this happened. What made this one feel really, really different was that this time the attackers get to portray themselves as the victims. Back in the day when we would endure homophobic attacks, at least the people attacking didn't have the nerve to say that they were the victims.
So that is such a good point. So quickly, to all the well-meaning rich ladies with BLM signs on their front lawns, and to all the corporate HR departments who are allocating millions and millions of dollars to BLM, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say that this is a group that just attacked 2 gay men. They've attacked people around the country violently. This is a violent group, and they're a dangerous group. And if I just may say really, really quickly, too, because you brought up the Jussie Smollett thing and the way the media covered that, I would like to ask some of those in media, gay people like Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, and Andy Cohen, do you have anything to say about the fact that 2 gay men were attacked last night by Black Lives Matter? Because you guys have been really supportive of this organization. I'd love to know what you think about that now that 2 people in your community were attacked by this organization.